Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Jerry from artsyjunkie.com, and I'm finally here in my sit-down session with Mo Kheir. I just want to thank you for coming out and sitting down with me tonight.
No problem.
So, how would you describe your shoe collection at home?
Small. Next.
Can you tell me about the fashion commonalities and differences between New York here and New Zealand? What are those differences and similarities?
A lot of the brands use the same kind of marketing model, the same kind of vibe of X budget plus Y campaign equals XY campaign. Your campaign is reflective of the budget that you spent on it. So that's why the bigger brands have the big editorials and the big sort of campaigns and the big events. And the smaller brands have the smaller editorials and the smaller campaigns and the smaller events. Whereas in New Zealand, because it's so far away, it's like you have to use whatever budget you have to create a campaign or create a look or create a brand that feels like it is worth a lot more than it might be. So you have to create something that looks international, but you might have a fraction of the ability to do it. But New York is very fast-paced. It's a lot quicker. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot more people. There's a lot more blogs. There's a lot more. You're right in the center of everything you need to blow up as a brand. In New Zealand, it's so hard to make those connections because you live so far away, and you still have online. You could sort of reach out, but it's so much stronger to be able to walk into a place. I think what the cities offer you as a platform to build your brand is vastly different. It's much more in New York than New Zealand.
What would you say some of your favorite trends that you're doing this fall season?
It's funny, like I've now got kind of a few like stylist friends, so like I'm like almost scared to say anything because they'd be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Shut up, man. And so like I don't know, like again, like I know more about different, about pushing a brand than what to wear.
Right.
But I've always been more into that sort of simplistic, earth tonish, sort of monochromatic kind of colors, but loose but tailored, like a lot of the Yeezy seasons. I'm not wearing anything like that right now. So
right.
This answer feels a bit fake, but that's what I'm into.
Where do you draw your style inspiration? Do you have a style icon? Because I know you said
I do. I don't know if I have like icons or idols, but like I have people that whose work I really appreciate. But most of those people are people that are good at a lot of different things. So if you look at someone like, for me, it's Stromae. When he's creating art or creating music, he creates like everything at once. So he'll come up with a video at the same time he's doing writing the song.
Yeah.
And each feeds into the other, and his videos are beautiful, his live performances are incredible, and so he's got a real great understanding of the importance of cohesion in brand. When I was studying at universities, an architecture tutor came in as a guest tutor, and he said, he talked about a bunch of stuff that was kind of depressing. He was just very depressed architect, so I was very put off it. But then I remember he said that he believes that design is in everything. And so I talked to him after the class. I was like, "What do you mean by that?" I'm quite interested in that statement. And he said that design isn't just in the building you design or the drawings you do in the studio. It's in the way that you answer an email. It's in the way that you dress yourself. It's in the way that you smell. It's in the way that you walk. It's in the conversations that you have with people and the thoughts they leave in their mind as you leave. And so that became sort of very paramount in all the work that I did.
How is it that you were in architecture, can go into, you're into marketing, comedy, music?
Specifically in the creative fields, universities really, they try to segment as much as possible. So say, here's a new class, here's a new, here's a new profession, here's a new industry, here's a new segmenting courses, and us students kind of believe that means that there's more to study, there's more you can be.
Right.
When in reality, a lot of the creative industries teach the same basic underlying concepts and principles and skills that you could apply to multiple different endeavors. And so when I say that, I mean to say that someone that studies architecture can go into anything in the creative industry. And it's that stigma of thinking they have to study something else, or that, oh crap, I studied this and now I can't use it. I've heard that just this year alone, so many people that I've talked to who have been like, yeah, I'm studying this, but I don't know what I can do with it. Just that statement is such a sad statement to make, and I really dislike it. Because you look at someone like Tom Ford, Versace, Yves Saint Laurent, and the one thing that they all have in common is that they all studied architecture. They didn't study fashion. They were able to come at it with a different sort of point of view. Which isn't to say that studying architecture is the end all and be all, but it's just these different creative industries like industrial design. Industrial design, you take ideas that exist, like the telephone, like here you've got in your hand, it's a cell phone, and you put your own twist on it, like here's the iPhone, it's a new phone, and you sell it to an existing market. The only reason anyone's ever going to buy this is because they know the use of phones. There's an established market for it. Whereas you look at stand-up comedy, which seems fully different, right? Why am I bringing up stand-up comedy? Well, you take ideas that exist, you put your own twist on them and you present them to the audience. The only reason anyone ever laughs at a joke is because they relate to it. So that's the same underlying principles in industrial design as it is in comedy.
Wow.
And so I feel like if you were to sort of go through university or go through learning anything, as long as you walk away, not with a degree, forget the degree, it doesn't matter. No one cares. If you walk away with just a set of skills they've learned, you're going to be able to apply them to everything.
The same formula.
It's the same. So I don't like, when someone says, "Oh, you do all these different things," I don't feel like that. It's just applying a set of skills to different endeavors.
If you had to choose one, which one would it be?
I don't know if I'd choose one. I mean, I know that I love working with brands, whether it's people or products or whatever, and helping to develop them. And I think as long as I can continue to do that in any shape of way or form, it's great. And working with artists like Kamal and so on.
Or what's an essential item that you feel every guy should have?
I'm gonna go Jay Deno with this one and say a suit.
Oh, that's a good one. Is there anyone in the industry who's had an impact on your work so far? Or actually, it doesn't even have to be in the industry, but anyone in your life that has had the biggest impact on everything that you've accomplished?
I remember there's this one student in my class in New Zealand, an architecture class. His name was Dino Chai. So I used to be like, I'd say I was like one of the more nerdier kind of like, students in the class, and so I did alright. But I'd put a lot, in the third year, I put a lot of effort in. Like, I had these big presentations and big sort of models and laser pointers. Like, here we have, and then in walks in Dino Chai, right? And he comes in and he just puts up this brown piece of paper, empty. It's got nothing on it. I present my thing, my big presentation, and it went really well, and I was really happy. And then the teacher says, "Okay, can this person go? Who's got this brown page? Who put this empty piece? Like, well, what is this?" And Dino's like, "That is mine." He spoke like a sensei, and then she's like, "He's like, that is mine." And then she was like, "Can you please explain this project?" He was, I don't understand what it is, what you're doing. And he got up and he explained that his concept was to do with the way we visualize space, and he began to sort of talk to us and basically said they didn't put it on the page because we would all have a different answer around it. But it's the way he worded it. We ended up with like the same grade, but I had to do so much to get there. Yet he just had such a good idea, and then such a simplistic way of executing it. So he juxtaposed a complex idea, which took research and took really knowing shit. It wasn't bullshit. And then he sort of juxtaposed that with such a simplistic way of presenting it. And he described that as a way of achieving a sophisticated simplicity. It's a sophisticated simplicity.
Right.
It was like, he talked about, because Da Vinci said simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. Hence the success of such brands as Apple, having such a simplistic product, or so many brands have done that. But yeah, I think that conversation with him has influenced the most of my work.
That's awesome.
Yeah. The idea of doing more with less and sort of having complex ideas with simplistic solutions, because that way it applies to more people. Even in writing music, you think of a song in the same way that you would a Simpsons episode. And that kids love it. You grow up watching The Simpsons and you love it. It's funny, Bart, and blah, blah, blah. But you notice that your parents love it as well. And the reason is because they see a different layer of humor in it, and it applies to different generations. And some layers of humor are quite rude, but you don't quite understand them as a kid. And so it's just this idea of sophisticated simplicity. Yeah. So Dino Chai.
Really dope. What's something weird about yourself that most people don't know?
Most people don't know I do stand-up comedy.
Oh.
I've been doing it here a little bit in the States as well. I got to do the Laugh Factory at Dane Cook, and that was amazing. I did that a couple of times. I bombed so badly the second time. You know when someone says it was the worst set I ever did?
Yeah.
It was the worst thing I ever did.
So no one laughed?
Oh, I wish no one laughed. It was worse. It was like the sound of, I could hear, like, you could almost hear the traffic outside. You just realize it's like, she's like, shh.
Horrible.
It was so, cause I stepped on stage and it was a packed room, and it was such a famous venue, and it was an all-star lineup, so I was the only unknown guy. I look up and I see all these big people I see on TV, and I've invited my friends and they're sitting up there, and some people from like a music label, and it's just like, I stepped on stage and I completely froze and forgot everything I'd ever written.
Wow.
And so I stood in front of everyone, and I used to have a speech impediment, I stuttered. And so like, I just started saying, mumbling something, and then someone in the front row was like, "What are you saying?" And I was like, That was horrible. And then the thing is, I could have walked 2 steps and gotten off the stage, but for me that seemed like a mile away. I was like, I'm stuck here forever. I'm gonna die out of here. This is the end. So yeah, stand-up comedy.
What's one piece of advice that you can give?
I would have originally said before coming to New York, I would have said like not to have any boundaries and to just to try out as many things as they can and to sort of remember to sort of focus on the skills rather than the degree side of things or anything like that. But after being in New York, there's so many of those creative people.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the biggest issue I find is that there's no strategy. There's no kind of sitting down and saying, I'm going to take this seriously. I'm going to actually schedule out the way I'm going to do this. I'm going to get a proper team around me. I'm going to actually like put a proper system and process down for achieving my goals. I'm not just going to be free. You need to sort of mix strategy and creativity. And the thing is that it's all good to be good at a great artist or to be a great anything, but that doesn't matter if you don't have the ability to put it out there.
Right.
The ability to put a good team around yourself. That's why most musicians fail. It's because they don't see the importance of these other things, like the importance of having, if one day you get a big record deal, the importance of having a good record deal, having a good lawyer, having a good business manager, having a good manager, having a good team around yourself, actually having like a schedule for finishing this album, having good studio time, having good space, having good time to create. It's like all this stuff that mixes business and show. So it's called show business. Business is a part of the title. So you can't ignore one half of it. You just work on the show, the creation, and all that side of things. Because then that's when you start to get screwed.
Right.
Or you feel screwed. So every time I go on Twitter and I see these artists, and there's heaps, they're complaining about their labels, like, oh, my label is, this label's shit, and blah, blah, blah. It kind of angers me because I feel like they're putting out an image to the world where other artists would think, oh, wow, labels really screw people over.
Yeah.
When it's not always the labels, it's as much as it is the artists not knowing what they should have done. Not knowing that they should have not knowing that they should have applied a discretionary fund to their deal to allow them to do external marketing, blah blah. Not knowing how to actually read the contracts that they're signing. Artists not sort of respecting their work or enough to focus on every facet of it, the business and the creation.
Right.
I'm a huge fan of James Brown, and it's not because of his music, but it's because of the way that he built his business. It's about the power that he had in his business. It's about the fact that he took marketing into his own hands. He started to reanalyze the purpose of a booking agent, the purpose of like all these different things, and just build a solid business around himself, which is where he was the one in charge. Put strategy behind your creative side. Treat it with the respect it deserves, because if you respect your art, you're going to want to protect it. If you want to protect it, you're going to want to understand your business.
That's an awesome piece of advice.
Right?
You actually just, helps me. So can Artsy Junkie get the inside scoop? Are you in the process of creating something new or working with any other brands in the future? Are there any creative musical projects?
No, I'm pretty much done. No, I'm working with a really dope artist, Kamal, you might know him.
Okay.
I feel like I've used that joke twice now. I feel like rare. And we've got some cool projects coming out with him, like a couple of working on 2 EPs.
Awesome.
One is more sort of organic vocal layered and the other's instrumentally focused. It's just really cool stuff, big stuff happening. And which is very exciting. Exciting part of the first artist I've worked in development with. And there's already a couple songs playing on BBC Radio 1 and Beats 1 by Zane Lowe, Ebro, and Mr. Jam, which are some big influences in radio. So he kind of started at the top of radio to tastemakers, and then it's a great sort of things going on there.
Well, I'm definitely excited for your future projects, and I can't wait to see them. I want to thank you so much for coming out and sitting down with me and all my junkies at artsyjunkie.com.
No problem.
Thank you.
Hug it
out.
Shout out to all my homies from Auckland, New Zealand. You know who you are.
Sideways.